got dangerous moves. She got dangerous moves. They got dangerous moves. She got dangerous moves. It's Breakfast with Bob. Chee!
Macho Man, everybody. Day 5, Breakfast with Bob. We're brought to you by HOKA on Polar, Halo Neuroscience, Velofix. Today's planned Normatec. Our championship edition will be at Four Seasons Resort Hualalai, Triathlete Magazine, and we're at beautiful Huggos on the Rocks. I am here with two legends of our sport. We have Karen Smyers, 1995 Ironman World Champion, and Michellie Jones, 2006 Ironman World Champion. Round of applause, Michellie and Karen. How you guys doing?
Great, Bob.
What I love is the fact that I bet you neither of you thought you would ever do a freaking Ironman race, right?
That is absolutely true.
Don't
for
you
me.
think? And I remember specifically with Michellie, because I think it was like 92, 93, and you came over here to watch.
In 1995.
Was it 95? Okay. Came over here to watch, and we're standing by the medical tent.
Yes.
And
not a great place to stand
No.
if you're trying to convince me to do an Ironman.
Yeah. You should do this someday, Michellie. Mark Allen, who had just won the race, is on a stretcher. His feet are bleeding. His body is quivering.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, all right. And Michellie looks over at me, and she's like, never.
Yeah, ever.
I will never do
Ever.
this stupid race, right?
Hey, well, what do you expect when you see the best racer in the world collapsing after they've done?
After they won.
Yeah.
It's not like he finished later. He won the thing. And fortunately, I mean, if they had a thing back then, Karen, where you would have had to give up racing short course stuff to go chase points to get here, would we have seen Karen Smyers here?
You might have seen me once a year, because that's all I like to do. One Ironman a year was about
Right.
all I could eke out of my body. The training was really, really torturous for me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a challenge. So after 9 years of doing Olympic distance, I guess I kind of needed something new. So it was kind of fun to take myself out of my comfort zone. And my stupid husband is the one that went and qualified first. So I was like, well, if I'm going to Hawaii, I'm not going to watch you. I got to do it too.
And that was the year you got fourth, or?
93.
93, you got fourth first time out. And when you were done with it, did you think like never again?
No, I think after I
Yeah.
did that first one, I realized, there's something pretty special about this race. And maybe, I liked the race itself. It was the training I didn't really particularly enjoy.
Right, yeah. They're coming here for
but
the day.
I thought, all right, it's maybe the dues I'm going to have to pay to be able to come back to this beautiful island and race.
So in 95, Paula's made the announcement, this will be my last race. I'm retiring. Mark Allen had said I'm retiring. I think Paula was like, well, if Mark's retiring, I'll retire too. She was going to retire, and basically I'm going to win my 8th title and move on. And during the bike ride, she looked like she was going to do that. She had a big lead in the bike. When did you start feeling during the run that maybe that something could happen, or did you?
I guess I was trying to keep a positive attitude. To be honest, I didn't really ever think, I can catch her, but I thought, I've got to make this close. Like, I really had this sort of burden on me, or it was probably all self-imposed, but I knew that the TV coverage, because Paula had won so often, they'd done a profile on her every year, and they started kind of slanting the coverage towards the men because it was a more interesting race.
Because it was a real race.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, God, it's up to me to at least make this interesting. So when she got such a way on the bike, I was like, you blew it for all of womankind,
You're
no pressure
You're
whatsoever.
hurting the sport. Yeah, I got.
So I was like, at least catch up enough to make it look like it's compelling, And even, there were times like people were telling me, she doesn't look good, but I was still 4 or 5 minutes behind. And I'm like, oh, geez, and that was with, coming out of the energy lab or something.
Right.
And so, the idea of making up that much time on someone like Paula at that point in the race.
10K.
Yeah. But I still always had the motivation of get closer, make it exciting. So.
And could you see the chopper up ahead, and was it getting closer?
It was never very close until, I think it helped when she decided to run the wrong direction on the course on Kuakini. I didn't know about this until I saw the NBC footage, but, she was so
staggering.
Out of it that at one point she had stopped, and a spectator's like Paula, you're still winning. You can do it. You're only a mile away. And she's like, oh, really? Okay. And she starts running the opposite direction. And the person's like, no, that way. And she's like, oh, okay. And she turned around. I'm like, oh, that probably gave me 15 seconds right there. You know?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I had a minute 40 with a mile and a half to go at the top of Palani. And so even then you think, I thought,
40.
oh, well, this is cool.
Right.
I've gotten close. But I still... It wasn't until I saw her with a half mile to go or so is where I really believed it was possible.
Well, and when you saw her, she was like a fighter out on her feet.
Yeah, well, my first glimpse of her, she was still running, turning the corner down Hualalai. And then it wasn't until I came around, she disappeared from sight. And then I came around that corner, I was like, where is she, And then I realized I had, 15 seconds of seeing that she kind of stopped, and it was such a quick glimpse that I thought she might be cramping, or I thought, I don't know what's going on. She's making this a little easier than I expected. I was expecting this big sprint to the finish down a Leahy Drive, and it was almost a little disappointing. I was like, oh wait, you're
Where's
not supposed
our
to
race?
Stop, yeah.
And so you win the race. And how did that? You had won world championships before. How did this? Was it different winning this race?
Yeah, definitely. But it was a little weird because this was before cell phones, and
Right.
nobody really got the message that I had passed her, that the people down at the finish line. So announcer actually said, "Here comes Paula Newby-Fraser," and I was like, "Change of plans." And so then they kind of realized, like, wait, that's not Paula. So it was definitely a little bit kind of confusing, and I believe me did not have time to like come up with a finishing jump or anything like that.
Right.
I was still processing the whole thing as I ran down Leahy Drive. So it
That's
was
pretty wild.
yeah. I wish I could redo it actually, and with more thought.
I remember one time, Karen, we were chatting about a race, and I don't know if it was Manchester. I forget which world championship it was. Yes, but you guys
Remember it well.
You guys were side by side, and you're thinking to yourself, "Okay, I think I'm ready for my sprint now." And where's she going? Right? So something sort of like that.
Well, the funny thing is I actually, this was with, we ran side by side for a lot of the 10K, and as we came to maybe a half mile to go, I was feeling so good that I just felt like, I don't know, the cat that swallowed the canary. I'm like, I feel so good. She has no idea. And as we came to about a half mile to go, I'm like, I think I'm just going to use all my extra energy right now and go for the finish. And I started sprinting, and you couldn't even tell. She was just like running next to me. I'm like, wait, this is my sprint. And then all of a sudden she just went, and I was like, oh, so that's what a finishing quick kick looks like.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
What was I thinking? I was probably thinking exactly the same thing that Karen was thinking. I felt comfortable and relaxed, and I definitely had a strategy that at some point I was going to sprint. And definitely, in a sprint situation, you sort of go up to somebody's shoulder and you put a little more pressure on them just to test them out. And that's what kept happening. It's like just getting that little bit closer. And then when Karen went, I'm like, okay, my turn to go.
So,
and I mean, you never know what your legs are going to be, especially when you're going as hard as you can in a world championships. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, yay, I got another gear.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever been in a sprint to the finish before, to be honest. So
I had.
I had no
you
idea.
had a bunch. You had a few with Paula over the years, too.
Yeah. Paula Newby-Fraser was a great sprinter. But there was one time, and she always brings this up, we were racing in Ventura in California, and I lost my race number, and I'd been disqualified once before about not having a race number at the finish. So I ran back and got my race number, and I came back, and Paula told me, I knew at that stage I had nothing, that you were going to kick my butt at the finish because, you went and got your race number and you came back. But, I mean, these days a sprint finish is so important in an ITU World Series.
Every race.
Yeah, every race is like, it's so competitive.
Yeah.
You've got to have a sprint finish.
So you come over here in 05 for the first time.
Yes.
And you get second. I know you had done limited running leading in.
Yeah, I crashed my bike at Alcatraz, had a big fracture in my hip, so did very, very little running. I think about 5 weeks leading into Kona, we started running. I did a bunch of water running. But yeah, my second ever marathon was going to be with limited running. And Natasha caught me as we were coming out of the energy lab. And it was one of those moments where it's like, I want this, but my body wasn't capable of going any faster. But I was still so excited to get second.
Yeah, first time out?
To finish second in the Hawaiian Ironman. I'm like, I'm retired. I'm good. I'm done. And then it was like, no.
You got to come back. And next year you come back and win it.
Yeah, and, absolutely amazing experience, having won a silver medal at the Olympics and then turn around and do a 9-hour race and win here in Kona. I mean, Olympics is fantastic. It happens every 4 years, so that's what's so special about it. But a 2-hour race to a 9-hour race, and I said I never, ever wanted to do it because I was totally petrified of doing it. The distance scared me. I'm like, who wants to ride their bike in a swimsuit for 112 miles and then run a marathon? But I'm really, really happy that not making the Athens team in 2004.
Yeah, because if you So
it was like the disappointment of that led me to Ironman, and then having Paula Newby-Fraser, I was 36. Try to turn yourself around into an Ironman athlete when you've been a short course athlete, and you have so much sprint miles in your legs. I mean, there's no way I could have done it without Paula.
Well, and what's fascinating to me is you had won the test race on the Athens course the
Yes.
year before the Olympics.
Yes.
And the fact that the Triathlon Australia didn't have you on the team was like one of the silliest moves of all time.
Yeah, but not only didn't they have me, but they didn't have Emma Snowsill, who was the current world champion and went on to win the gold medal 4 years later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that would have been a pretty formidable team on a course because of that hill in there that totally suited you. So then here you are, a Xterra world champion, Ironman world champion, Olympic silver medalist, and then 2016 you go with Katie Kelly, visually impaired athlete, and guide.
And hearing impaired.
And hearing impaired, because I remember you were like screaming at the same time as. So and then you.
I'm not that mean.
No, she just couldn't hear.
She couldn't hear me.
And get a gold medal in the Paralympics. Compare the Olympic experience to the Paralympic experience.
When you're helping someone else, our sport is very much individual. But then when you get the opportunity to help somebody else, absolutely amazing. And I feel very blessed that I got the opportunity to help someone live their dream. So way more nerve-wracking because you have to make sure that you're 100%, that you don't crash the bike, you don't cramp up, make sure you swim straight, all this extra pressure, because if I do it to myself, no big deal. But if you screw up your athlete's race, and, we went through that experience at the World Championship 2 years before where we had a protest against us because they said I was pulling her in the swim, and I think I bored my eyes out for 2 hours thinking that I'd got this athlete disqualified. Thankfully, they turned over.
And they realized you didn't.
Yeah, because I'm so tall and she's so short that, we physically can't swim head-to-head the way the tether sits on our leg.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, Karen, when you come back here, what are some of your thoughts on being back at a place that really meant so much to your career?
Mostly I'm happy that I get to go to the Thank God I'm Not Racing party.
That's the only thing that matters, yes. Right.
It's funny, when I come back here and I'm not really fit for it, I am just so relieved, and I'm also amazed at the people that are doing it. Like every single person, I'm like, wow, what an incredible athlete. It's funny, I have a hard time even remembering that I was ever
It's almost like a different lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Love that. How about a round of applause? Michellie Jones, Karen Smyers, two of the legends of our sport. Thank you both for coming by. And Pancho, man, take us out.
She got dangerous moves. She got dangerous moves. They got dangerous moves. She got dangerous moves. On Breakfast with Bob. Chee-hoo.